What's up, everybody? It's your boy ShowtimeDr. Today's topic, it's going to be about PvP defense teams who are effective characters, who are pretty OP in that field, and the basic dynamics of what you want to do. So for your PvP defense team, and this becomes important later because once you get above gold rank, I believe it is, if your defense team can't win at least some of their games, they'll just auto kick you down to the next worst rank league. And, you know, it's not such a huge issue, and in some cases it's actually nice because you can just go farm more PvP teams and have PvP be a little bit easier overall while you're still retooling your team. But anyway, so the mechanic in defense is, of course, the defensive team is AI, and as long as the attacker team, I forget exactly how often it is. I want to say it's like every 10 rounds, but whatever it is. The offensive team receives a shock. That is to prevent, essentially, super tanky healer. You know, there's not that much revive in this game, but is still a little revive. Teams from just, you know, long haul slogging it out through auto means or whatever. So about every 10 turns or so, you'll see your team will get shocked and it'll be scaling damage, and eventually the shocks will come so quick and the damage will be so high into like the 1200, 2400, etc., higher, that you can't maintain it almost no matter what you do. So the way that a lot of people have built their defense teams is to essentially just tank that out until they can get to that point where you'll just die from the anti-tanky attack team thing. So some of the heroes that are really good at that, DN. To be perfectly honest, DN's as close as I will never call for a nerf on something that I do not think is ridiculously stupid broken, which in this game right now I don't particularly have one. DN's as close as I get though, because I don't know why they decided to give her turn cooldowns on both her 2 and her 3 as upgrades. So you see, you can get this to a 3-turn cooldown, right? And then, you know, gives allies barriers, etc. And then this one as well, increased crit hit resistance, you know, attack's kind of negligible for the strategy I'm talking about. And increases her combat readiness by 50%, so, and she's built most of the time with speed. So it gets to a point with her where it feels like, you know, depending on if she has Candlestick or something that's reducing cooldowns, you know, this will be, on occasion, every 2 turns, if she gets the proc, but every 3 turns normally, and this is every 4 turns or 3 turns. And it gets really old in PvP to where, you know, she does her 3 usually first, and she does her 2. And then, however long those are on cooldown, she'll do her 1, and her 1's increasing her combat readiness as well. And it doubles it to 20% when she's buffed, and she has gigantic buffs on all her abilities. So unless you got a dispel going with like a base R or something, that's really hard to beat. And they did just put in, what's her name? Risei. Or Kisei, rather. They just put in the new Kisei that does extra damage to barriers to kind of help with that. But still, if you don't got that, this character is a pain in the ass on defense teams, and, you know, she's effective, and that's the way it is. I do kind of wish maybe they shouldn't have this as an extra turn cooldown right here. You could leave it on the 3, but it's whatever. She is how she is, and I highly doubt, I haven't heard any chatter on any type of alteration for her or anything, so that's just the way it is, and we get to deal with it. Yay! So she's a pretty effective defensive hero. Now, Akades, and where was she? Akades can be pretty good. Not super top tier, but the cool thing about her is she has that invulnerability, or invincibility rather, so that'll help keep her up if you get her cooldowns down. And then this, you can get the 3 turns as well, big AoE fat heal, and also gets rid of all debuffs. Now, a lot of people will run Destina in this same role. Destina basically works the same, except her 1 has a healing effect versus a decreased down or attack down effect. And then her 3, not only does it cleanse all debuffs, but up to 4, it'll give combat readiness up to 60%, 15% each. So that could be really strong on a defensive team as well. But in general, Akades is cooldowns, because I think this is 5 turns for Destina. It's a little bit stronger. So that's pretty strong. Angelica, very much the same way like DN, except Angelica actually heals. She has a strong single target heal on her 2. And then on her 3, she can also grant immunity, so makes you immune to debuffs. But she will only use this in general when someone is low, or at least like half health or so. So you'll see lots of teams with DN and her. And that is kind of an issue because, yeah, it's granting a barrier, which once again, you know, Kisei can wreck, the new Kisei can wreck. But it's also granting immunity, so say you dispelled DN's immunity and you got these characters low, well, she just put on immunity, she healed everybody, so she can be pretty strong. And then her cooldowns as well are a little bit, you know, this is still a 5-turn cooldown, but you can get it to 4 turns. And you can extend buff duration, even though on defense they don't usually do that. And then her 1 is a flat stun, so on occasion that helps delay things as well. Now, it's not just healer heroes, although that is the majority of... You know, it's not uncommon to see 2 healer heroes on defense. Real quick now, actually I don't see Armin that much. I do see Crimson Armin a lot, we'll get to that later. I'm just trying to find different heroes here. Krau's another one. So Krau, he has Provoke on his 1, and everything is max health for him. Increased defense to all allies, which, you know, helps keep him up, and decreases combat readiness of whoever he's attacking. And then his ulti, which is actually deceptively good at DPS, grants him, well, that's only soul burn. Gets a barrier to himself and penetrates defense. So he's actually a deceptive, really good tank, helps keep the team up, but actually deceptive deeps, delay tactics, etc. So Ravi, on occasion, you'll see like some 60 Ravis. And the thing with Ravi is she will be so strong because they'll either have Vamp set or Attack set on her. She'll be hitting so hard that she's life-stealing. And maybe she has that card, I forget the name of it now, where she goes under 50% health. She has 20... Is it 50% harder or 25% harder? And she lifesteals X amount, 50% of the amount, depending on how upgraded the card is, etc. And then this AoE stuns, and then it decreases combat readiness to 0 if you don't resist the effect. So this can be really super strong, Ravi can. I've had a couple matches go where I killed everyone else on the team, but Ravi was freaking getting her ulti back so fast because they had this upgraded all the way, the combat readiness, that I couldn't freaking do anything to kill her, and I didn't have a heal blocker besides Haste, who wasn't ready at the time. So, depending on if you got heal block counter maneuvers or not, that can be pretty freaking devastating as well. And then let's see, Dingo's another guy. I do see him, not quite as much, but I still do see him. So the thing with him is, provides all allies with a mill, dispelling all debuffs, right? Decreases cooldown 1 turn for him and another ally. Yeah, if you kill someone. Wait, no. Every time the enemy dies. I guess that's a passive effect then, because this isn't an offensive effect. But he also gets an extra turn, to which he will usually promptly follow up with his 2. Which, you know, fairly decent deeps there. And then... So it's just the cooldown reduction. I've seen him and DN together, and that was a pain in the ass. She seemed to get it every time, which was annoying. There's Kisei. Hey, Kis. So let's review some of the other heroes here. None of them... Cecilia, you'll see her on occasion, not super often though. Thing is, she scales with max health, decrease defense, decrease attack, which does affect how fast you can kill things, and then her provoke. Essentially, she'll give herself a barrier, and then she provokes, you know, at least half your team a lot of the times. And so when you're provoked in this game, you just use your 1 and you auto-attack whoever provoked you, so that's essentially a turn wasted. So she can be really strong in that. Now... Roman, here's another guy. He can run a lot of interference, so he's going to start off with his ult. Dispel all buffs, AoE. Increase combat readiness of himself 50%, and then, you know, the rest of it's whatever. But then, on his 2, because he has a 50% combat readiness buff, so he's going to get his 2 off pretty quick. Another AoE. Short cooldown, 5 turn, 3 turns. 50% chance to decrease combat readiness by 15% twice. So essentially gimping your team's turn order. And so I've seen him on a couple defensive teams where he's pretty strong. Actually really good at the offensive teams as well. So, these guys, not a big deal in PvP usually. Hirondo on occasion. But so now we get to the Moonlight Hero. So here's where the extra fun begins. I'm going to be going over a couple of these. Shadow Rose for one. Shadow Rose really good. But this one right here, decreasing combat readiness and increasing their combat readiness on their ulti. Can get down to 4 turns. Cooldown. Decreased defense. You know, pretty good there. Dispel as well for 1 buff. And, you know, she has that decrease unhealable thing going on her 1, but she can be annoying, especially with the combat readiness. Now, Crimson Armin, here is one that's... You don't see a lot of her just because not everyone has her, but when they have her, though, oh my god, because... On her 3, grants immunity and invincibility. Now, you gotta have a Dispel to deal with that, because there's pretty much no other way. She gets that off early game, you don't have a Dispel. That's almost pretty much game. Not necessarily, but pretty much is. But then even if you survive that, on her 2, she is passively... This is decreasing critical hit. Damage received from a critical hit up to 30% if you upgrade it all the way. And then there's people that run her with, I think it's called Aris, which is the artifact that she takes 10% of all damage on top of increasing the defense of the team 10%, and she also has a Provoke on her 1. She can wreak havoc in PvP, just not even doing any damage. She's just insane, just like a pure filter for the team damage. So, Katie's, I mean, that one should be fairly obvious. She has it so that she heals on a 4-turn up to 3-turn cooldown. She heals herself and whoever is the lowest. She first brings them up to whoever has the highest health percentage. And then she heals on top of that, so that gets really crazy. And then she also has Immortality. Immortality is basically you can get them to 0 health and they'll stay alive. And not to mention 2 random buffs, so who knows what those could be on occasion. So she can be pretty crazy for... increasing. Now, I have seen a couple people, and this is funny. Chloe, real quick before I get into that. Chloe's just basically a heal bot with revive, so AoE revive though, so that can be pretty annoying. And that has a stun on her 1 that can increase things. Dark Corvus. So here's the thing, because Dark Corvus, he was voted the worst ML 5-star. But killing this guy if he's built right, because he scales off at max health, he has Provoke on his 1. Every time he's getting hit, he's decreasing the cooldown. You know, assuming this is upgraded to 100%. Decreasing the cooldown on his 3. And, you know, that can do decent damage depending on how he's built. But just in general, this guy seems to be so freaking tanky. And can you still kill him, you know? Like, break his defense, etc.? Of course, but it's gonna be a while. In most cases, unless you have a real badass light healer or whatever. But... And then Royal of Light, I think she's another one that has revive. Yeah, revives 1 dead ally. So you don't see her too often. Has barriers, recovers health, etc. Heals with her 1. And then Lots, I kind of forgot to go over regular Lots. I should actually go back to him, but we'll get to him in a bit. But so our auxiliary Lots, he can silence everybody. So you're stuck using your 1s. And then, you know, he's increasing combat readiness of whoever the strongest person is on their team. So he can be pretty stupid, just all this passive healing. Maya, she's got the tanky thing going on. But then she actually ends up being Dispels, increased defense when attacked, and then a Provoke. So depending on how her Provoke goes, that could be pretty stupid. And then I'm not even covering like the buffer heroes, the heroes that they buff combat readiness, like someone like Shuri, a regular Shuri. I'm not sure if Watcher Shuri does it. Or people with like AoE stuns, like Cartusia, etc. Yeah, increased speed, that's annoying too. But let me go back real quick. Let's try to find regular LUTs. Because I have seen a new tactic with regular LUTs. There it is. So, Okay, so get this. We'll go over his skills and I'll tell you the tactic. Use strengthening magic to increase combat readiness of all allies by 10% and grant continuous healing, so like a heal over time. Okay. Extend buff duration by 2 turns, but of course, most of the time the bot doesn't do that stuff. Recover ally with healing magic, increase combat readiness by 80%. Amount recovered is proportional to allies' max health. More on that later. And there's ones just like decrease attack. So what I have seen, I've seen a lot with a DN, and then specifically Crimson Armin was one. And then who was the fourth? I'm trying to remember who the fourth was. It was someone that like knocked back combat readiness. I forget who at the time, but knocks back your combat readiness AoE. It might have been Roman, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But it was someone like that. Well, anyways, so guess who had the highest... Okay, so by default, this is going to go to the person with... Well, besides the lowest health, combat readiness. So guess who had the highest... or excuse me, the lowest health in the party from AoE effects, assuming you're doing all AoE effects? It was DN. So this dude was casting this on DN, which, once again, increased combat readiness by 80%. Now, I can't go over what his gear was and what everyone's gear and spec and all that was, but essentially, DN was taking turns even faster, because if you notice, this is on a 2-turn cooldown, okay? Combat readiness by 80%. DN was getting this every fucking turn, the first couple turns when all the AoE effects were going off, but they were still surviving because, you know, tank team, etc. So DN was going even faster than she normally does, which meant more barriers, more combat readiness for her, on top of more debuff immunity, etc. So it was just stupid. Like, I've also seen that effect with what's that other healer's name? Angelica. So there's a free one for you guys if you guys can figure out how the guy figured that out. But there's just some stupid teams. Now, these are the types of heroes that'll be effective in your defensive teams. Just basically holding on until the shock DPS thing kills them. Now, there are ways around it, clearly. Dispel, heal block, etc. The new Kisei to destroy barrier teams. But for the most part, for the rest of us that don't have those heroes or don't have those heroes built up because we're investing in heroes that can get us long-term, you know, raid and etc., then we're just screwed for now, guys. So if you're newer to the game and you want to focus PvP and you're watching these videos, start thinking of ways that you're going to deal with this. And ways to deal with this, Dispel for one. The banner here are available right now if you just start playing the game Kisei. She's really good for killing barrier teams. And Dispels, heal blocks, buff blocker. There's a couple heroes like, what's that name? Basar. He can block buffs from going up, etc. Stuff like that. Be thinking of that for your PvP teams, at least one of those heroes, because some of the combos that you'll run into nowadays are just stupid. That's pretty much the guide, guys. So if you're looking for an effective PvP defense team, you know, whatever floats your boat. You don't necessarily have to kill people in order to win. But if you feel like it, you can run whatever you want. And then as far as countering this, for the rest of us, once you get into the higher ranks, you know, what I said preceding, hopefully that helps you out. So, yo, I'm ShowtimeDr, ShowtimeDr. You found my YouTube. Hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Also, there's a link to my Twitch there. Play this. I'm starting to play other games too. And there's also a link to the Discord. We got a pretty good Epic 7 community in there. So go come in, share your experiences, ask questions, hang out, show off, do what you want. And I'll catch you guys later on. Peace out.